judging, validating, which is a version of proving.
Not necessarily.
No, depends on which line of the spectrum you're on. So you can validate and love, and you can validate and beat yourself up. You can validate and judge yourself. I mean, judge can be good. Judge can be positive too. Just depend. The tendencies is what it matters on.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Good one. Very good. So we go back to that thing with the, I've just still got that image in my head with a father that was teaching his two boys to hold chicks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
You do it not too tight and not too loose. If you do too tight, you hurt them, and if you do too loose, they fall through.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. I love that.
He was talking about AI, and what, as a society, what we need to do with it. And we need to learn to dance with it rather than to grasp it or to negate it.
Yeah, not to pick an absolute.
Yeah,
That's the key.
exactly. To everything in life, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Whew.
It's the difference between black and white or fuzzy.
Yeah.
Or gray, I guess you could say.
Or
The difference
always
between
making a decision off of the same metric, the same decision, the same viewpoint.
Yeah, it's a difference between either or and both and.
In the business world, one metric. Oh, no, because it does this to this metric. It's like, well, what about this metric?
Right, and then it makes hard and fast rules.
Yeah.
That are actually arbitrary, but treats them like they're not.
Without remembering, oh, what are we in the business for? What are we in creation for? Always comes back to the focus.
Yeah, a lot of times we're acting just because we think we should be acting or think we should be doing something.
Yeah.
And assuming that when you get an impulse to act in some way, that that means now.
How do you decipher the difference between that, though? Because is what our guidance is. So if we don't act on them,
Yeah, but it's about learning timing. It's about learning there's a preparation and a gestation stage involved usually. There's
what is it?
readiness.
Something germination, simulation, and then something else.
Completion in that
Completion.
framework.
It's a
Thank you.
difference between end results and then the steps to get there.
Got you. Yeah.
Best one, Ellie, I've learned is to ask, do I need to know, do I need to act now? Is it now or later?
You just ask a question.
Always, you know. Again, that's a skill just to learn what it says. And you live with the concept, the causes.
That's it, because it's got a cause and effect, and you don't want to miss an opportunity, and you don't want to be jumping at things that are just, I don't know, random things, and they take you off on a different path
Mhm.
before you find yourself back.
Well, maybe, and sometimes I find that different path has to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you're right. No, no, you're right.
And it's mastery of the fourth dimension.
Oh man. You laugh.
It's timing. It's all about time.
That goddamn time. Something I've never got enough of.
And there's no judge in that time, is there?
What is anyway?
Yeah, if you don't have enough time, maybe you're using it for the wrong things.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, so where do I fit that in? Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's how I've let that one go. God, yeah.
But you start mastering time and it'll actually work for you.
Yeah.
And then you bring in expectation.
Yes.
Because creations and for the purpose of creating them are not in line with society's expectations.
Yeah.
And that falls in the domain of timing.
Nine.
Such as Allison's quote this morning from Gigi. You have it there again, Allison.
It was, you should always be in a joyful hurry. Wait, no, sorry, let me go right down again. It was so cute. Life has a certain pace. There you go. You should be joyfully in a hurry, but never impatient.
I
Isn't that great?
love that.
Yeah, it's really cute.
So that was a quote you read today.
Yeah. I
Love it.
just got, as friend sent it to me, so, and it came in as I came onto Zoom.
I love that.
Yeah,
Thanks for sharing that.
hurry, was that?
I had such a giggle with it.
Yeah.
I like that one.
My history with timing, it always included force, like forcing it. So just to acknowledge our tendency.
Yes. There's this, it just so, it just makes me think of it's a little ritual that I do sometimes when I do a meditation, or, either for people that I love or that whatever's happening. Anyway, and it entails saying something about the 4 directions. It was written by this one shaman online, Alberto Villoldo. I really love his work. It's very beautiful. And when you honor the South, you ask for assistance from the serpent to shed your skin, and then so that you may be able to experience renewal. And then it asks for guidance to walk gently on the earth as the serpent does. And I don't know why, but that just came to me now. I think it's that analogy between whether you hold on too tight or if you're too loose. And the earth is solid, and even though it's solid, you walk gently on it, especially as a human being, right? And I just love that interaction, that sense of interaction and relationship. That wherever you go gently. And gentle isn't weak, it's strong, right? And it's purposeful. And it's got clarity.
That word just hit me. Purposeful.
Thank you for sharing, Allison.
Mm.
Oh, what does shed new skin mean? Shed old skin, grow new skin.
Mm.
Shed old.
Mm-hmm.
Rejuvenate.
In the context of our lives, what does that mean?
You can do that every morning.
What came to me is timelines. Shed an old timeline. No idea what that means.
What I got from that was, you know how you wake up with your directions, or your gratitudes. So I can add, what am I today? What am I reflecting? I have another story of a little boy who's now a dad. And when he was 4, they lived in the States in New York. They came back home and into the apartment, and they had to, take their jackets off and hang them up. And he dropped his jacket on the floor, and his mom said to him, "Excuse me, what gets done with that jacket?" And he looked at it, and he looked up at her, and he said, "One day I'm going to drop my body just like that, Mum." He proceeded to pick his jacket up and put it on the hook.
How old was he?
He was 4, Ellie.
Oh my God.
I know. Those are the magic years.
They really are.
They are, right? They're so close.
I know. I just want to bottle my little boy up right now. I don't want him to get any bigger.
Did he do that? Drop his body like that?
Sorry, Craig, I couldn't. Were you asking a question?
Yeah, I'm asking if he actually did what he said he was going to do.
Yeah, he picked his jacket up.
No,
Yeah, I know.
no, he's. Sorry, Ellie. To answer your question, Craig, he's still alive. He's a dad.
Yeah, I know. That's
How
what I'm
would she,
asking.
how would she know that answer?
I don't know. I just want to find out.
Yeah, we can speculate as like what that would mean.
I mean, it was
From a
definitely
4-year-old.
prophetic. Definitely prophetic to him. I guess the reason I'm asking is because I'm discovering a lot of intentions that I set way back in my life that have actually come to be true. I just wondered if his had. Funny thing is, when I set those intentions, I had no clue what I was doing. Totally, totally out of my awareness and consciousness when I did it. Many of them have come to pass.
And like most of them, something got in the way of what that would look like or why we couldn't until later, until the perfect time. Sometimes never. I don't know. I can't judge for how it turns out for others.
What I'm saying is that a lot of those have come to pass, and which means to me that nothing got in the way. Might have appeared like it over the years, but because they actually came to pass.
In the perfect time and perfect order, that would make sense.
Yes.
Can't because you can't see it coming to pass doesn't mean it's not.
Well, it means we're just fixed on a certain way it has to be.
Exactly. So here's why this is coming up for me right now. In fact, I found out about a week ago that an intention I set 30 some years ago has become a $500 billion industry. That's trillion with a T.
I'm so excited for you.
The realization that I started that, was one of the people that started that, but I was one of the group of people that started that, is quite frankly, it's blowing me away right now.
That's so exciting.
And I had no idea that that's what I was doing. At the time.
It's amazing.
That's what I was creating.
And now you get the chance to create it again,
Yeah, exactly.
you know, with all the cooperative components.
Yeah,
the universe
with all
that
the
you
parts
choose.
that everybody missed.
That's right. Or
Yeah.
forgot, or got dropped, or changed, or metrics moved.
Twisted or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Every industry has that. Every offer
Yeah.
has that. As things mature,
Yeah, and just
streamlined.
technology moving on, isn't it?
Yeah,
Next level.
$500 billion and it's still barely in its infancy yet.
That's so exciting.
There's so much more to that. Just so much more. What I had envisioned. It's come about.
That's really cool.
How long have you set it down?
Never did. That's part of the point. That, you start it, the organism continues, whether you're directly involved with it or not. that's what's blowing me away with how powerful that is, how powerful the organism is. The interesting thing is it's never been mine.
Well, it's not been yours.
It's never been something that I've actually had ownership of.
Okay.
It's like it was planted
I-
in the collective and then just kind of off from there. But it has lacked direction and guidance. Vision has lacked direction and guidance, which is why it's stayed in its infancy. Because only a tiny piece of the vision was actually picked up.
Usually, yeah, I see that with innovations, right? They carve off the best pieces, the ones that you can make the quickest money with, and you just
There you
compound
go.
that. You compound that for 20 years,
Well, and
run the
that's what-
efficiencies
that's
out
what
of
the
it,
profit
and
motive does, right?
focused on one thing. Yep. Going back to forgetting what the purposes are. Lost in different purposes. I mean, oil companies forget they make oil.
Mm.
Well, yeah, exactly.
All businesses go through it. That's why when things start, they pick up momentum, they work, things change, and wonder why the hell things aren't working again. And usually we can't put our finger on what's causing the breakdown because it was an accumulation of small shifts or decisions along the way.
Mm. Mm.
Goes for people, goes for organizations, and it goes for industries.
So something just came to me now in terms of what you're saying, Jesse, and that maybe those shifts that we make in our, for ourselves with something that has been working, or whether it's in social structures, and so the decisions sometimes that get made that are that are aligned with vested interests. In other words, something outside of you, in order for you to gain something, instead of it coming from what you can develop or find within yourself. So,
Yes.
those vested interests are used. It's in other words, it's when we make decisions that in Craig's work would be that aren't true. you know, I think it's an extrapolation on my behalf now in terms of what true is, but for me, true is usually that it's usually the structure that is sustainable. And the structure that is the most sustainable that we have and the most complex that we have is our body. You know, if we go outside to gain something from life that we want, if we go outside of ourselves, then we're grasping. If we turn inward and bring it from the inward to the external to expand it, then that's a sustainable action.
Makes me smile.
Yeah, me too.
What we forget is that the structures are primarily energetic. Like it's not, the structure of your body looks like it's muscle and bone, but it's not, it's energy.
Yeah, exactly.
And every industry, every business is energy.
Yeah.
From the fundamentals is that it began as a thought.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
because
an
everything
idea.
begins with a thought,
Mhm.
and then the thought causes the emotional response.
And
You
then what
could say,
happens,
sorry, go Jess, sorry.
well, just to, is like then that fosters, and then what we do, like you said, is, oh, here I have an idea, let me test it. And it goes up against the old things, and people say, no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so just to add color to where I heard you going with it, Allison. Of
Yeah.
the truth.
Yeah. So I know what Ali's comment made me think of. So it starts with the thought, and that's often that thought is based on a need. So then I was thinking, so what is that need? And that need is either a need for survival in a good way, not necessarily a bad way at all, or it's a need for self-expression.
That's so right, isn't it? Oh
Bingo.
my God, I hadn't thought of that. That's what it is.
It's an expression.
Our need for self-expression.
Which would be the
Which then-
creative, the genius that, right, that need that helps. It might not be the answer. Maybe it fosters it.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then
And-
causes the emotional response.
That's why yes and is so powerful, because the default is no. And it kills it. Kills it again and again and again.
Yes,
Why does everybody want to work for the startups? Not everyone, but majority, right? There's that energy.
Well, it's potential.
Yeah.
Mm.
Your heart is by default going to follow potential.
Because that's momentum.
I mean, that's we're designed that way.
Mm-hmm.
Hearts are designed that way to magnetize toward potential.
What gets in the way of that?
An appearance that we've manifested something that we want.
Yeah.
Settle with that.
Mhm.
We hijack our heart. We hijack the potential by settling for what we see so far.
Mhm.
Sticking with that. Instead of keeping the dream open.
Seeing what other people did.
Yep. Yep.
Asking, quote, mentors what to do, which is what they'll tell you what got them to where they're at.
That's why only a fraction of that intention has been developed. A tiny fraction of it.
When enough dissatisfaction shows up for those applying the old ways, or when something begins to work, quote unquote work, people pick it up and run with it. There's constantly going, that creation is like momentum energy is constantly going on, just in different places. We just get the view of our life.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so.
We're buying that 1% though, like crazy. I'll believe that's all there is.
I come back to that one phrase that I love so much about desire, and that it is life's longing for itself. It's longing to create.
Reminds me, I was looking at the word belonging.
Mm-hmm.
You think that's about getting into a group of people that where you feel totally comfortable and nurtured and all that kind of stuff, but I divided the word after be. Can you be what you're longing for? You're
Mm-hmm.
longing. Be what your heart is longing for. I'm coming to believe that all of us can.
It's certainly the direction it's going.
Yes.
course, that
Yeah.
dovetails with the whole idea of heart expression, right?
Mm-hmm. Very much so. I was thinking last night, somebody had sent me something to watch, and so I was on YouTube, and then there were a few things that I got to go to that I hadn't, that I'd bookmarked. And I thought, there is such a big shift. I mean, if I think about going to esoteric bookshops when I was in my early 20s, and that they were as scarce as hen's teeth. I mean, I know I was in South Africa, which also added to it. But on the internet now, there is so much, so much around the acknowledgement of the heart, of connection, of love, of our bodies. And that, for me, that was really encouraging. It just kind of struck me again.
And as much of that there's also more of the other,
Yes.
because we will find what we're looking for.
And isn't it interesting that the algorithms are designed in that way?
Yeah.
Right? They give you more. They give you more of what you look for, which in some ways is great, but in other ways, it's not so good.
So why would it be not
Because-
so good, Allison?
Because for me, Craig, I think it's important to have awareness of everything. You choose what you want to go and watch, yes, but for the others not to be included, for the other not to be included. For me, I would prefer for it to be a smorgasbord so that I can kind of keep a periphery, but my peripheral vision is wider.
And I think it comes to there's virtuous cycles, ones that growth, they promote good, and there's vicious cycles.
Yeah,
Both of those places exist on the internet.
yeah, they do.
Another way of saying that is that there's a growth cycle and there's a decay cycle.
Yeah.
And when you can feed both, why not? So they say.
Mm.
I wonder if those cycles are energetic.
How wouldn't they be? Because if we can find one way that they aren't, then we can say, well, then they aren't. They're like mean, they're made by people, first of all, so by people's choices. And fundamentally, each of them, why we keep looking for what we want is to energize that we're right. Energize that feeling, that validation.
Yeah, but the whole thing about this environment is cyclical.
Oh yeah, we got
The whole 3D reality kind of tends to work that way. I mean, it shows up in Earth cycles and planetary cycles, and and all those
Mhm.
kind of things, all of which have their own energy and they all affect us.
how does change happen? Is we find that something's not working and we then change it. That to me are cycles. And when we go culturally, society, it's just a bigger version of the individuals.
Why
It's
do we
not
have this
separated.
idea that we need to change things?
I think it's every human has that innate desire.
But for me, that's the biggest issue that's coming up. That I've tried to, all my life, I've tried to change the cycles that were affecting me instead of aligning with them.
So Mo Godat was in a talk with a guy who expressed something similar, or comes to mind as something similar, and that was that he had to learn to embrace his demons. And it comes to mind because of you saying that you try to fight the cycles instead of aligning with them.
Yeah.
That is a change.
Yeah.
Shedding skin is a change.
Yes.
Chasing our heart from the beginning to a point that says, oh, I'm a victim, or I can't express myself, is a change. And then today, what we're trying to do is change back to that, because that was the truth. We just believed what everyone else around us was telling us. It's the structure. So that's why I say change, because of the original change. From the first change, from the happy knots, right? That I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I can't have it. I can't have it my way. I can't be me.
Because me is all I've got.
That's all we've got.
And I say, like, that's all we've got, and it's so much.
Yeah.
So when we're in that world, whatever I would call that world, then there's no need to change.
Say that again, Jesse. Sorry, when you're in
And what
that
world are you talking about?
As you would say it, Craig, where everyone is expressing in their genius, living their greatness and gifts. When everyone's free to, when everyone is doing that world. When everyone is living and expressing from their heart, their desires, going for it, creating it, that world.
Yeah.
Then there's no need to change. Because change isn't a word.
Or that's an environment where there's nothing but change.
Yeah. Two different things.
Yeah.
It's embracing change, encouraging change, allowing it, which it always is. We're always changing.
Right.
But
Riding
change
the
from
waves.
from the change that was boxed in around me, that's what I was working with.
Yeah.
It's the limitations of our language.
Yes.
Yeah, once you start participating with the change that's happening and the change that's inevitable, you don't have to concentrate on changing yourself. There's no need for it. No need to solve a problem anymore.
It's it. First one is internally is when you stop fighting.
Yeah.
When you stop judging, when you stop blaming, and when you stop validating. Or aware of it. Yeah, so that you don't need to do those things. That is how a transition appears to me. So until that transition is complete, that's what I'll keep looking for. Because it's what I got as the best right now.
So that's when we let things be, right?
Right? You can't fight it if it's just to be.
Yeah.
It's fundamental if we look at what do we fight? Why is there a fight?
Maybe there's a fundamental understanding or belief that if we don't fight, what we intend won't happen.
Mhm.
And then it goes back to what the implications would be of what we intend not happening. And for me, that always goes back to safety. If there's too much danger. That certainly was my pattern.
Somewhere in there, we met with opposition.
Yep.
Met with some kind of a counter.
Confronted where I'm just assuming I'm right.
Yeah, also.
Equal doesn't mean that we have to agree.
Totally.
But at some level it does. That's the meaning of equal.
Well, you have to agree on the principle of equality,
Mhm.
or you can't be.
And if you think it's like the tendency is not to fight equal. specifically there is, yes. Well, that's why like judging is such an easy one to look at that way. And as we move up, some of the other ones, a validator isn't. It's just not as charged as much in society. But some validators would fight to be right.
Mm-hmm. So it goes back to the tone of things again, right?
Mhm.
What is the vibration?
Yeah, there's all kinds of opposition. But it's your true nature that
Perceived.
was opposed in the beginning.
That's right. That's right. And
That's why everything gets all muddled up.
now we think it's out there opposing it. Yeah.
It's your true nature that
Longing.
gets devalued,
That's right.
opposed.
But only from a
Violated.
certain age. Not forever, but only from only from a certain age when we could begin to pick up the language and the meaning of it.
This is pre-language though.
What is?
That opposition.
Well, opposition's always there, just as a child, each
It's
individual
energetic.
child that's developing I don't think makes that up until the words show up. Which is why the 4-year-old would say something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Because the 4-year-olds are expressing, children that can speak are expressing, they're doing themselves until they bump into why they can't. And then we go internally, right? Take it internally and make up stories around internally why we can't express our heart's desire.
Yeah.
And we live our lives from that as if that's the way to live. So is that energetic? Yes, I believe it is.
As if that's the only choice.
That's right. It's the only way because mom and dad told me so. No matter what they say, you can't compare family to family. It's that they told you it had to be a way.
Yeah,
And if it wasn't them, then somebody else in society would.
right. And whatever way they told you is counter to your true nature.
So far, that's been our history.
Yeah.
For however many generations I can put it together. And I could probably only go back 3. From a logical space to say it's always been that way. I don't think it's always been that way because why else would we have developed that innate side of it to be there? For that to be first. Survival shows up for me. So then in reality, it's like, oh, we're changing the survival aspect that has evolved us to this point. Which, back to structure, that won't work. So then in a $1 trillion industry, what would you teach?
What do you mean? What would you teach? What would you
Yeah.
teach to a trillion-dollar industry? You mean?
Yeah. There's a market there, right? And it's there. There's really what that means is there's a platform with users. There's customers. Or a better question is where did it go wrong? Or did it go wrong? Knowing
I'll
that
tell
it's
you-
right on track, knowing it's right on track.
I'll tell you what I want to introduce is all the missing pieces.
Hmm.
There's so many missing. It's like, okay, so where do you start? And the truth is that that market is immaterial.
That market is immaterial.
Yes. Well, yeah. Well, yeah. I shouldn't have said it that way because I used the word material, and it's the point. The point I'm making is that it's all about material, but it's basically capitalized on a lie. Profits have been made on a lie, on a promise that was twisted.
All financial, I say, is that.
All profit is based on an advantage. Perception of false value.
I think just that. It's giving the power away in terms of dollars is all it is. That's the energy of it.
Sacrificing power for dollars. Yeah.
Exchanging.
Sacrificing truth for dollars. And potential. Remember that all economies are based on scarcity.
Okay, guys, it was a wonderful start to my day again. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you all soon.
Bye,
Thank you
Allison.
for being here today, Allison. Big love.
Bye, Ali. Bye, Craig.
Galley skipped out too.
A while ago. And so it's a choice to exchange, yeah. And I think it comes back to equal. It's not people that are profiting from it aren't seeing it as equal for the most part. It's more of a prey.
Yeah.
And it's preying on the patterns. The victim patterns, which we're well aware of. That
Ever since there's been public school, our society has basically made information the god, as if information is the answer for everything. And that's basically what's happened to that industry.
Hmm.
Of information.
Yeah.
And information is in an economy, information is powerful, but in truth, information is kind of putrid and
So it's old and stale.
Yeah.
It's already there. It's already now. It doesn't mean that there's great. If you are unaware of it, that's different. And it used to be, I mean, both you have a velocity that's both grows faster, but also deteriorates faster.
Yeah, and part of that rapid growth has to do with, okay, so I buy a course that has a promise with it. So I buy the course and I realize that there's nothing in it that applies to me. Then I look to another one.
Or do it like well, good. Yeah, I mean, there's
And another one, and another one.
Yeah. Yes.
And part of that is the truth that it doesn't apply to you. The other part of it is that we don't really know in our society how to apply the information we have in ways that are truly beneficial to all of us.
I think that's the stepping stone.
Yeah, exactly.
So how to apply this.
So what happens? This addiction is just I just keep bringing in more and more information. It's actually about 99% noise. I just keep bringing it in, and yeah. Quite frankly, I don't know what to do with it. I don't know how to apply it.
Maybe 1% of people that take them do apply it.
Yeah.
And so whose fault is that? I just need to find another sucker then.
Systemic. Yeah, it's part of the infrastructure. It's part of the
And the expectation is, well, then you have to measure what works.
you know what works for you? That's the difficulty too.
Well, and there's in this example, there's at least two people that we're asking that question about. So if I'd say 99% that aren't applying it, right, that are just going from course to course to course, let's separate that. Here's what I say is I think anything would work if they knew how to apply it.
Yeah.
So that I think is the key to it. It's like what will work, what's the structure that will always work. And then we anticipate, well, what's the cultural norm against that?
Well, for me, I turned it all around and I went to true nature to start with.
Yeah.
That's why I said what I said about your true nature being opposed.
I agree. That each individual is powerful. And so, so what we're looking for is where in society would people resist what our claims are, because that is what's in the way.
Everything in society resists.
Everything in society resists what?
Resist your true nature.
Yes.
Itself.
Yep. Without a doubt.
Basically been the starting point.
And what that leads to is that you're not a genius. You can't be a master. You can't have what you want.
Yep.
You're not, and then the sabotaging identity. So I mean, that's at the end of the day, realizing that we are prisoners of those.
Sad thing is there's a number of people that appear to have broken through that. So we believe them because they appear to have broken through it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what that looks like.
Appear to have broken through it.
Completely, like fully. Like to
Well,
embrace it.
yeah, we don't know.
Fully
We don't
embrace
know.
it.
Yeah, we don't know what a complete breakthrough actually looks like. Correct. Yeah, good way of
Because
saying
it's the same way as like when you find something that works, you still bring in old structures. And that happens. I mean, that happens everywhere. I mean, that's why I keep coming back to under awareness, where I work with them, awareness of equal, genius, yes, and. First of all, I say people aren't aware. First of all, that's first blank thing I'll say is that people just are not aware. They're not aware of themselves. They're not aware of their patterns. They're not aware of their defaults. They're not aware of their thinking, their emotions, their actions, their behaviors, their intentions, or their desires.
Yeah. Well, and that itself is a protection mechanism.
Without it, exactly. It's a Brene Brown says, we're a fear of vulnerability, where does true nature exist?
Vulnerability.
It's a fear of expressing our heart, which is why information makes so much sense. There's nothing to it until we take it personal, and then it's information we have to defend. Which is
You've been-
why I work with the charge. It's like aware of being charged, because that gets people to start thinking about, oh, the simple structures of things, because then only then can it snowball.
Yeah, yeah. So have you been reading Brene Brown?
Yeah,
Or listening?
I've done some through. I just finished a book of hers. Yeah, the Atlas
Which
of the
one?
Heart. Atlas of
Oh.
the Heart.
Good for you. Okay. Yeah, that's what I was asking you. Yeah.
Now we're working. Inner engineering.
Yeah, exactly. Amazing research she's done, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of information. That's, I love how she presents it. She does a great job with it.
Yeah.
In a way that people can work with it. Again, here's what I'll say about people that write books. It appears they want to write as many pages as they want. They want to put in as much information as possible, rather than
Right.
making it easy, simple, and silly.
Yeah.
So that's the. Does someone really need to be able to separate 87 emotions?
No.
Not out of the gate, not first go around.
In fact, you know something? When I first got that book, when it first showed up, I was really, really disappointed, because it was that big and it was all decorated up to be, well, you got the book, right? It's like, it's got all this design stuff and all that kind of thing in it. And it's way too big and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, that's what disappointed me. Because it's nice to have something that's comprehensive, but yeah. I want the Coles notes, thank you.
It is, because we've been able to.
That's the publishing industry too, right?
Yeah, without a doubt.
More is better, always,
Yep.
and all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah.
And now it's like there's not a cost awareness around paper and pen, right? So it's like, bleh.
Yeah.
And then everybody's doing it, and that's what we'll call information. Like there's just an information overload that just isn't working. And so people are constantly like, I need more information. I need more information, more information, more information. And it's never enough.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like, as this changes, it's going to take all those people out of business.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is this book that I've been writing, that I've been mentioning over and over and over again. What's interesting about that is it keeps distilling. It keeps,
Yeah.
it keeps getting more and more precise.
I mean,
so I don't know. It's going to be less than 100 pages, I'm pretty sure. This first one, anyway.
Yeah, they're the hardest ones to write.
Well, yeah. Well, yes and no.
Yeah.
Because when it's a hard expression, when it's a pure hard expression, it's not
Right.
hard. It's not hard to write.
Right.
It's very precise. It's very.
Mhm.
the words used are correct, words and phrases.
Mhm. And when you trust them.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we just, I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's to bring it down as simple as easy, simple, and silly. That's the three frameworks, best three frameworks I found. Now, there's no proof in that what I do works, right?
Right.
Except for that it works for me. And when I work it for me, and then I also work it like, well, what is fundamentally does it look like?
Well, on the other side of it too is your unconscious or your subconscious is it's silly. It really
Play.
is. Like, it's not,
It doesn't, yeah, it's not to be serious, right? It's to play, it's to express, it's to be enjoy. Like that is where the
Yeah.
heart finds that. Like, that's where the heart can express itself.
yeah,
And you know, whether you care, well, it like doesn't matter whether it's the thought or the feeling that gets you there. It's just whether you're there.
yeah,
Because when you're there, then that's when you're productive. I mean, it just comes down to every word has a charge, you know, just even as I say productive, it's like, oh, it triggers people to a certain way. And it's like, oh,
yeah,
it may not be how I intend it to be.
yeah.
In that 70-page book, let's see. Darn it. The man who tapped the secrets of the universe.
Yes. Yeah. And
You
it's
know,
only 70 pages.
70
too, right?
pages, and it's like,
Yeah.
holy, like that is like if I look at that, that is like a standard. It's like, wow, that was jam packed with usefulness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jam packed with value. But that's my
name. What's the name of that book again?
The man who tapped the universe.
Yeah. Okay.
Glenn Clark, I think is gonna. Yeah, Glenn Clark. I got it on audio.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. Well, and I bought it. I bought the book too.
Yeah.
I have both of them.
It's
Such
not
a
an
good book.
MP3.
It is a MP3. I think is what I got it as.
All right. Hey, could you share that with me?
I think I can. I don't have an easy way to do it, but I could figure it out.
Okay.
Let's see. I'll have to see. Allison shared it with me. Bruce did. So Bruce is, I'm wizard with that stuff. It's easy enough to do. I think it's just a Dropbox.
Yeah. You might not even have to do that because it's probably a small file.
Yeah,
It's only
that's how
70 pages. It wouldn't be that big.
Yeah,
That's how we got it to you.
yeah, I think it was Dropbox.
If she sent you a Dropbox link, you could share me that link. Or I could ask her.
I'm looking. Yeah, I'll find it somewhere. I'll figure out how to get it to you.
Okay.
No, I think that's, I mean, all of it is, like, the new learning is the shortcut to the childhood.
Yeah, exactly.
not all the BS around it, not all that, but it's the shortcut to the resistance to the heart, which is the what you want, why you can't have it. Because two things, we haven't asked that question in our, we've avoided it. So when what we avoid, there's very little resistance to it.
Right.
Meaning you don't have to explain a whole shit ton to it. You just got to go into it.
Yeah.
Now, whether people have the emotional fortitude, the emotional strength to stand in the resistance is the experience.
Yep.
And if they run away from that, they're not ready. But that's the first awareness, is like, oh, you're making that uncomfortable feeling more important than what you care about.
Yeah, exactly. Interestingly enough, that's another way of saying, pointing out the missing pieces to online learning today. It's about that. It's about experiential learning, and actually changing your life as you learn.
Yeah. Not a separate thing. It's not you go away. It's
No.
not like I give you
No.
something, then you go away with it. It's like, no,
Yeah, it's all
we
integrated.
do it now.
Yeah.
But that's,
Which is what we've been doing for the last 170 days.
mhm. Yeah, which, you know, and like how it's not that people need to pay is a bad word for it, but I'm going to use it. Pay. People don't need to pay for the first go arounds. What they'll do is they'll want to pay for where it's going. For the opportunity that it's creating, but it's after it's built and like that change happens, then people are like, oh, like there becomes a whole community of people that are creating from their heart, and people say, oh, I want to align with that. I want to align with you. That's me. That's you. And then, I mean, that just becomes a heart-centered growth, heart-centered community that just everyone attaches to where their purposes draw them.
Yeah, exactly. And you find others whose purposes are similar.
That's it.
Go create with them.
That's all it is. It's like, why? And not, there's
That's a no-brainer.
it's so much better structure than anywhere. I mean, man.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a volunteer model is what it is. It's funny. They designed it as the happy matrix.
You know, it's interesting that you use the word volunteer, because when I did a regression back into what transpired before this incarnation for me, I realized that I volunteered to live this life. I volunteered to be this person. And yeah, and I was quite excited about it too. You know, when they say that your whole life flashes before your eyes. I kind of have the impression that that's what happened before.
Right.
like this whole potential of this life was flashed in front of me. And I went,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
I want to be that. I want to be him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Without the details, without the details.
Without, no details. Yeah. There weren't any details in it. But it was that. It was, potentials. Wow.
It's like a dream. It was like you got an inventory of dream and you selected one out of it. It's like, yep, that one.
Yep.
And now that's what we create.
Because that includes the individual life, but it also includes everything that was about to transpire on the earth too,
Yeah.
and to humanity in general and all that stuff. Yeah.
Well, it was at that time, you would assume you knew it all.
Well, knew enough to make a decision.
Yeah, which
Knew
meant
enough to
like the
volunteer
end,
for it.
right? Knowing where it was going.
Yeah.
Without being disclosed all the instructions.
Well, yeah. Very interesting. This whole thing about potential is just blowing me away, man.
Sorry, I was muted again. It was like I love it too. It's like it's limited by what has been possible to this moment and limitless from this moment forward.
Correct. Wow, I just got a lot of stuff coming in right now. It's just like, whoa. Oh boy, oh boy. I'm just having a hell of a lot of fun, you know.
That's good.
Yeah, it is good. Morning. You know, the funny thing is, I've been working so hard all my life for this.
Mm.
There's a silly one for you.
Right. Because that was the way we got what we wanted.
Yeah. You know, the funny thing is that that little toddler expected that it was going to be like it is now, but I expected it would be like that then.
Mhm.
Which probably has to do with part of the reason why I ditched.
Yeah.
You know, why I decided to exit Earth. Is, hey, this wasn't what I signed up for.
Yeah.
It doesn't even remotely remember or resemble what I signed up for, right? So, that's funny. So you know already that I've been a student of human design for about 3 years now, and I just dove into it with both feet. It's been very revealing and very reassuring about a lot of stuff. But what it does, it divides up the zodiac into the 64 I Ching hexagrams. 64 of them. They all have meanings. And there's 6 lines in a hexagram. And so when you look at my birth chart, the planet Uranus was at hexagram 7, line 4. And when I looked up that particular line, and I couldn't figure this out when I first saw this, but it was the abdicator. It's the one who it's the king who decided not to be, you know. I don't want to be this. And that kind of sums up my death experience at 2 years old. It's like I was trying to ditch. I was trying to get out of it. So it's funny, you know, it's funny that that you look at a description like that and it actually matches what happened. just funny. And there's a lot of freaky synchronicities like that in my charts and stuff. So it's been fun.
That goes to all your potential lights, huh?
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah. You know what I realize now is that all that happened many decades before before its time. And that really frustrated me. The whole thing about the time.
Yeah, achievers and time don't go well together. Never fast enough. Well, I'm gonna get on with my day here, Craig. Go deliver some coffee, spend a little time with the
Okay.
wife.
Yeah. Oh well, it is 7 o'clock already, isn't it?
Yeah. Great being
Yeah.
with you, man.
Okay. Yeah, I'm complete
Good.
too.
Good working with the book. Yeah. All right, man, well, have a great Sunday.
Yeah. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. All right, till next time. Have a great day.
This is gonna seem absolutely crazy.
You go for
I
it.
just got this impulse to come by and talk to you. Why? I have no idea.